Welcome back. This is Savvy Psychologist. I'm Dr. Ellen Hendrickson, and I'll help you meet life's challenges with evidence-based research, a sympathetic ear, and zero judgment. I cannot believe it. It feels like just yesterday that I sat in my bedroom surrounded by pillows and piles of sound-absorbing laundry, and yes, that laundry was clean, to record my first Hesitant podcast episode. Now, fast forward 250 episodes and 5 wonderful years, and here we are at my final solo episode. Next week, your new Savvy Psychologist, Dr. Jade Wu, will stop by the show to chat, and I am so excited for you to finally meet her. But first, we have a final episode to savor. For 5 years, I have been inspired by your requests. I have combed through the literature. I've read thousands of studies and maybe, just maybe, gotten sucked into way too many Office Space clips on YouTube. But I will never confirm nor deny that. After all that, this week, here are my 5 biggest takeaways to help all of us understand the minds of your fellow humans, plus your own. So here we go. Let's get right into it. Take home number 1 is behavior persists because it's reinforced. Or in plain language, people do things for a reason. It's easier to wrap your head around someone's quote-unquote bad choices when you understand what those choices bought them. So for example, your best friend stays with a horrible partner. To her, it may be better than being alone. Your little brother couch surfs and won't get a job. To him, at least he's not shooting for the stars and then failing. A customer drives through McDonald's with 3 monkeys and orders each of them an ice cream cone? Well, that's not necessarily a bad choice. Who doesn't like ice cream and happy monkeys? Anyway, my point is that every poor decision, weird preference, or choice that makes you scratch your head can usually be understood through the power of empathy. So think, what does this person get out of this? What does this action buy them? Usually, it buys them something desirable. Love, money, power, positive emotions, or avoid something detrimental, harm, rejection, discomfort, or negative emotions. So put yourself in their shoes, and you may just smack your forehead and say, oh, now I get it. If I was in that situation, I'd probably do that too. Take home number 2. People do the best they can with what they have at the time. Now, this one comes right after take home number 1 for a reason. When looking at things gone wrong, whether in your own life or the lives of those you love, it can be helpful to remember that people, both you and others, generally do the best they can given their circumstances. And those circumstances may be colored by mental illness, trauma, addiction, poverty, or any number of other challenges. And these are by no means excuses for treating others poorly, but they can absolutely be reasons. Now, this take-home can be easy to apply. A friend who's just been through a messy breakup may lean hard on you for a while without giving much back. And remembering he's doing his best right now can give you the shot of compassion you need to keep being there for him. But this take-home can also be really hard. So for example, if you survived an abusive childhood, it might be really hard to believe your parents were doing the best they could. And you alone get to decide whether to extend compassion or forgiveness to those who have wronged you. So I will leave that up to you. Because on the one hand, you may think that the notion that people do their best is a cop-out, but on the other, you may feel relief with the realization that many parents were not ready to be parents, never learned how to manage their own lives, had lousy parental role models themselves, and struggled mightily with their own demons while their kids were dependent on them. Again, these aren't excuses, but it can be liberating to know that a tough childhood had little to do with you and everything to do with them and their struggles. Last but not least, you can apply this idea to yourself. If you are newly sober, reeling from a divorce, struggling with depression, or any number of infinite human struggles, offer yourself some compassion, do what you can, and forgive yourself for your shortcomings as you put your energy and effort into getting out of bed, resisting cracking open a beer, or simply reminding yourself that you are worthy and lovable. Take home number 3. Don't believe everything you think. I have loved this quip ever since I literally saw it on a bumper sticker. It is basically the cognitive behavioral therapist mantra. So here's the deal. You can't control the thinking of your brain any more than you can control the beating of your heart. But even if you can't control your thoughts, you can control how you respond to your thoughts. So Some thoughts you should listen to. Eat these vegetables. Pay my taxes. Remember to vote. But others are not so useful. I'll never amount to anything. I can't do this. I screw everything up. Now, for the problematic thoughts, you have two buckets of tools. The first is change, and this is where you challenge your thoughts. So for instance, really brain, I screw everything up. It's true things are tough right now, and I've definitely made mistakes like every human, but I've got some good things going for me too. Or, it's not an emergency that I've gained a few pounds. No one notices it like I do. Plus, my weight doesn't define me anyway. Now, the other bucket of tools you have is acceptance. And by acceptance, I don't mean accepting the content of your thought, as in, I guess this means I'm a loser, oh well. Instead, it means accepting the thought as simply that, a thought. So for example, my brain's telling me I'm a loser again. Or, that's quite the thought. Never mind, and carry on. And here's a rule of thumb related to don't believe everything you think. Don't believe anything you think after 10 p.m. Your brain is not credible during a 2 a.m. freakout, so don't make any life decisions or even take yourself too seriously when you're pacing in your pajamas. Remember, most problems are like vampires. Daylight makes them wither. Take home number 4 is a rising tide lifts all boats. So in other words, challenge yourself in one area and it will pay off in others. So for example, have you ever started an exercise program and found yourself naturally eating more salads and passing up the s'mores brownies? Or maybe you've cut back on staring at your phone and found yourself reading more books. Psychologists call this generalization, and it's a pleasant snowballing side effect of working hard to make improvements in your life. Therefore, once you learn you can put action before motivation in order to lace up your shoes and go to Zumba, no matter what mood you're in, you can apply the same lesson to studying for your GED. Or when you discover you can slow breathe your way through that long-delayed dentist appointment, you can do the same for airplane turbulence and finally jet off to see Paris in the springtime. The point is that small changes often catalyze bigger changes in your life. So go ahead and challenge yourself. You may be surprised where it takes you. And finally, take home number 5. Emotions don't last very long. Now, in a tough spot, did your grandma ever offer you a tissue and a reminder that this too shall pass? Turns out, that's a decent slogan for emotions. We humans invest vast amounts of energy to avoid feeling bad, not to mention ingesting vast quantities of alcohol, drugs, and food to avoid feeling bad. But it turns out, feeling bad doesn't even last that long. A study in the journal Motivation and Emotion backs me up. The researchers surveyed over 200 students about their experience with 27 different emotions. And I know, I didn't think there were that many either. But they found that sadness lasts a comparatively long time, but a whole host of other negative emotions, shame, fear, disgust, boredom, and irritation, tend to evaporate quickly. So next time you feel lousy, let yourself feel your feelings rather than pushing them down. It'll be over sooner than you think. So now it's time to wrap up. And I need to say that I am so grateful for my time at QDT. And most of all, I will miss each of you. You are engaged, smart, and dare I say, savvy. And I'm so lucky that you've listened to the show these past 5 years. You are the lifeblood of the show, and 250 episodes, 14 million downloads, 1 book, and at least 1 zucchini spiralizer joke could not have happened without you. I hope I've made your life better in some small way, because I know you have added so much to mine. Finally, please come with me as I take on some new projects that I would love to share with you, namely a second book and some all-new online courses that will make your life happier and healthier. So head over to ellenhendrickson.com and sign up for the email list. I am excited to keep bringing you evidence-based research, a sympathetic ear, and zero judgment for many years to come. And now for this special episode, some extended credits. Savvy Psychologist is audio engineered by Steve Rickyberg and edited by Karen Hertzberg. And huge thanks from the bottom of my heart to the whole team at QDT. Steve, Karen, also Morgan Ratner, Michelle Margulis, Emily Miller, and Kathy Doyle. As always, Savvy Psychologist is strictly for informational purposes and doesn't substitute for mental health care from a licensed professional. Next week, I am super excited to hand off the show to the next savvy psychologist, Dr. Jade Wu. So be sure to stay tuned for all the evidence-based research and tips you know and love for a happier, healthier mind.